What's up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Week In Review, one of the longest running XFL podcasts, episode 207. This week, we're zooming in on the major moves around the XFL and USFL merger, the club franchises possibly going on sale in just a few years, and RedBird Capital, Fox Sports sealing the deal. We have all that news and so much more, so let's dive into it. So the USFL and XFL merger, they aim to offer club franchises for sale within 3 to 4 years. This isn't like super new to us. We know the USFL has been talking about that over the last couple of years with they were hoping by year 4 or 5, which would then be 3 or 4 here in this merged league, that they would look at selling franchises. Remember, there was a rumor about Alex Rodriguez was potentially going to be behind purchasing maybe the New Jersey Generals. That was kind of something out there. So and we've also heard about the XFL. I mean, that is the goal for all of this, is to be able to sell these franchises, hopefully in the hundreds of millions of dollars. But that all depends on the next 3 years if it shows growth. That is the key. So the merged XFL and USFL, according to Larry Jones, a former Fox Sports executive vice president and consultant to the network, marks the beginning of a strategic plan to sell franchises in a few years, positioning the merged entity as a major player in the football space. Some key points, of course, we know Fox Sports owned the USFL, RedBird Capital, of course, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Danny Garcia are part of the XFL. Post-merger, the goal is to sell teams and expand equity beyond the existing ownership. So that means that the sell teams, there'll be more people involved in the league and helping the league grow. So lots of rich people will hopefully buy franchises. Distributing channel, Fox looks poised to become the primary distributor, given past affiliations. That's a no-brainer there. Also, and we've had reporting on XFL News Hub about how the channels should be ABC, Fox, and NBC. That's kind of where they're going to go. Everything is not going to be on cable or streaming, because that's where they get the biggest bang for the buck. Live sports on linear TV is a home run. We've seen it on our own website. Anytime it's on Fox or ABC, or anytime it's on linear TV, that's your ABC, Fox, NBC, CBS. We get lots more traffic than when it's on cable, and they know that too. And live sports basically is the only value anymore as this to television networks, and this cable landscape is completely changing. There's rumblings that some of the Disney channels are going to go away, and there's we've got I think some hockey teams that are associated with another local television entity went bankrupt. So there's all sorts of stuff going on, and cable is changing, and the XFL and USFL merger is right in the middle of this thing. Way different than what it was in 2020. That's crazy, when Vince McMahon was there. So in a recent sports management discussion, Sports Business Journal, Ben Fisher noted that Larry Jones, consultant, alluded to the future leagues and the plan, of course, for 3 to 4 years to venture out and sell the clubs. This is where I think all of the both leagues see where they're going to make their money back. And they're investing a lot, because we know that football is expensive. So, of course, the September 28th was the decision to merge the league. He also talked about, we know that the regulatory hurdles are coming through. Larry Jones further indicated Fox's intention to be the main distributor of the merged league, which is kind of a no-brainer there. We've talked about that. Was the plan, of course, of selling teams. And he emphasized the league intends to go out to sell teams within 3 years, with the potential change of ownership, bringing a new stake. But that's all kind of, we kind of already knew that, but this was kind of the mainstream press picking up on that. That is the plan. So nothing new other than, that they're looking to sell franchises in the next 3 to 4 years, whether they have people lined up. Basically, we're starting over from scratch once again. So if you've been on this journey since 2018, like we have, it's starting over again. All the key parts are in place, and we're just waiting for this regulatory approval so we can see if this merger goes. But hey, you cannot talk about selling franchises in 3 to 4 years if there is no growth. And the way the USFL was trajectorying was they went down, and the XFL was disappointed in their turnout. Also, they thought they were just going to flip the switch and have another 2020 XFL season, and that was not the case. Ratings, it's hard to tell anymore because that whole system is basically collapsed as far as how rating and tracking ratings and with streaming and people's how their behaviors consuming media has kind of changed, but we know that ticket sales were great for the DC Defenders and St. Louis Battlehawks, as well as a couple other franchises were not as good as 2020. That has nothing to do with the ratings, but just interest, general interest. So they have to merge together in order for them to survive. We thought it was going to happen in 3 or 4 years. They saw their trajectory. Both sides knew that, hey, things were trending down, especially when we go head to head. So let's merge together now. We know this is going to happen. And then let's see if we can lock in going forward. The question is really, when it comes to this merge thing, is what is the NFL's role in this? If we get word that the NFL has some kind of role, which we haven't heard anything, that they have some, because the NFL didn't know which side to pick. This also makes it easier for the NFL to now work with this new merged leagues or whatever it is. But before we can start talking about selling franchises, it is all about growth. How the league does in year 1 and year 2 is really the key factor. We're getting another season of spring football, definitely probably a season 2, because we need to see the growth. If season 2 is not as big as season 1, then there's trouble on the horizon. And can they make it past the goalpost, which is 3 seasons, to do better than the original USFL and the 80s? So are you a fan of the XFL, USFL, and CFL football? Get ready to embrace your inner general manager with NewsHubFantasy.com's fantasy football experience. NewsHubFantasy.com offers you an unparalleled fantasy football platform, bringing together fans of the XFL, USFL, and CFL football leagues. Compete in season-long fantasy with leagues up to 6 players. You can create your own for friends, or you can join an existing league. Draft your ideal team with our 7 active roster spots, including a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, flex, tight end, kicker, plus 3 bench spots. Show off your football knowledge and strategy and dominate your league. Our user-friendly interface makes it easy to manage with your team and get the latest news in your XFL or USFL or CFL leagues on the go. Plus, News Hub Fantasy offers mock drafts, pick'em games, and so much more all season long. So don't miss out on the action. Sign up now at newshubfantasy.com and become the ultimate football fantasy manager. All right, we have an exclusive here on XFL News Hub from our main man, Mike Mitchell, that RedBird Capital Partners and Fox Sports have come to an agreement on this whole XFL-USFL merger. So XFL News Hub learned that RedBird Capital and Fox currently have an agreement to merge USFL and XFL on a non-binding term sheet that is currently undergoing regulatory review with the Department of Justice. So the XFL and USFL agreed to terms the day prior to both leagues releasing a public statement of their intent to merge, which was on September 28th. So a week after Axios broke the story about their merger. So in recent days, there's been some talk that the 2 leagues, associated with the 2 leagues press release, along with some cautionary statement that led some people to believe that the paperwork has yet to be filed. And this is absolutely not true. The paperwork is filed and an agreement is in place. So that means that they basically have the structure. They're just waiting on approval from the government. So based on the information, both parties, the merge terms, and this is what should be interesting to everybody, has been submitted for approval, and there's a 30-day waiting period has begun. So now everything is quiet. Both sides can't talk to each other. They can only wait until after this binding deal gets signed and approved by the government. So there's a quiet period for a minimum of 30 days. It could take 90 days, but with this type of thing, this situation goes from the Justice Department, the Federal Trade Commission. They have roles in trying to get all this approval. The feeling is that this should go through pretty easily because there is no competition. This isn't like Microsoft merging with Apple or some kind of crazy thing like that. So they feel that this is pretty much a slam dunk. It's just having to wait those 30 days for approval. It could happen sooner or it could happen later, but the feeling is that it will happen sooner. So if the league this gets approved at the latest, and this is where it gets interesting, should be before Halloween, because this was submitted on September 28th is when the statement of their intent to merge happened on the September 28th. They submitted all this stuff on September 27th. That's from our sources. So both sides have to be quiet. League employees on both sides have been told it's business as usual. You saw the XFL have its October 7th showcase. There was no USFL members there. The USFL teams are signing players, even with teams that some of us have been like, well, are they going to be part of this thing or not? We don't know. And so basically, that's kind of where things stand right now. So we just wanted to clarify that. So think of terms of potentially Halloween. Before Halloween, we could get a trick or a treat when it comes to the XFL and USFL merger. But this is our exclusive report from Mike Mitchell. Sources are indicating that, there's already a done deal, and what they're going to do is ready to be just executed. They're just waiting for government approval. That takes 30 days. We know the timeline officially started on September 27th. The government didn't shut down. The next time that might shut down is in mid-November, so we don't have to worry about that. So this should get done in case that happens. And now we just wait for regulatory approval. It's going to be very quiet because no one can talk while this is in the government's hands to approve. But all intents and purposes on both sides feels really confident that the government is going to approve this, and then we will have a new league. So hopefully before Halloween. Like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you stay tuned for all the latest XFL news and USFL news. You get exclusive content no one else knows and shares anywhere else on XFL News Hub. All right, we've got some news and notes this week just to kind of wrap things up. The Rock's Instagram made a comment about Colin Kaepernick. Apparently the XFL had interest in Colin Kaepernick. They reached out to him before the start of the 2023 XFL season. He said, met with Cap and his agents, whom I like a lot, earlier this year. Good meeting, looked to create an opportunity for him, but I don't think it'll happen. We'll see. So Colin Kaepernick, of course, his name was in the news with the whole Jets quarterback situation, and then his name popped up on the DC Lions signing thing. But Colin Kaepernick is 35 years old, and honestly, he was not playing well when he left the NFL with all that other controversy. So I think it would behoove Colin Kaepernick to play in the XFL, but I don't think he's going to do that. He's just looking for an NFL gig, and the window is basically shut at this point for an NFL gig. So the best thing he could do is play in this XFL USFL merged team. But I don't think he will do that, because if he looks bad in that league, guess what happens? His fame and whatever he's making money off of his endorsements kind of go bye-bye. So that's a problem. Some top law firms are spearheading the XFL-USFL merger. So Scanner and Priscow Rose are prominent firms advising on the merger, bringing vast experience. Both leagues have substantial backing. They also have connections with the NFL. This was from Bloomberg Law's Brian Baxter. The XFL is represented by these kind of corporate giants, but Brill was pivotal in the XFL's broadcast agreement with Walt Disney Company. So these guys have got a little skin in the game when it comes to NFL. They know what they're doing. This is the law firms. We have an article about that on XFL News Hub if you're really into the legal aspect of it. But they have some heavy hitters working for them behind the scenes to get this done. Of course, if you're not shocked, the XFL draft that was proposed for October 4th, that was been rescheduled into early November. We're kind of hearing definitely before Thanksgiving in that 17th kind of time frame. Let's take a look where probably the next date is. Probably that 15th is kind of where there's been kind of rumblings about that, just before Thanksgiving holidays and et cetera. It would have to be either 8th or 15th, somewhere around there for an XFL draft, but definitely need to get it done. So because of what we're kind of hearing, which is that, this merger thing, the latest would be sometime in mid-December. And it kind of seems like with the 30-day window that we discussed earlier, that before Halloween seems to be when this can go live. Remember, there is a union piece to this, but there is no competition. These leagues, they don't last very long, so we don't really see any kind of problems getting this whole thing sorted out. So if they have this, supposedly everything is in order. So as soon as the name drop, as soon as they get the okay from the government, it's flipped the switch, and here's the plan, and we're going to execute the plan, and we're going to move on from that. And that's kind of what things look like. So they should know what teams are going to be in it so that they could do a draft. But right now it's business as usual for both the XFL and USFL. USFL has been signing players. The XFL had their showcase earlier on October 7th. They're going to do another one. Plus, then there's a kicking one. So we'll kind of see where all that goes. PJ Walker, supposedly this is the 12th that he might be the starter for the Cleveland Browns. Good luck to PJ Walker because they are going against the San Francisco 49ers. So good luck with that. Also, my main man, Matt Nagashima, has a great article, A Successful History of Football Mergers Bodes Well for the XFL and USFL marriage. So we want to kind of take a look at that because he talks about the AAFC and, of course, the NFL merger with the AFL and how that kind of spearheaded those leagues. So sometimes these mergers things aren't a bad thing. They're a good thing. And finally, Danny Garcia is going to be part of the advertising week in New York on October 19th, Thursday. So she'll be there representing the XFL and talking about the XFL and how they kind of work with their marketing to kind of get to that younger demographic. So Danny Garcia will be there talking XFL. Will we have any kind of news? Will she kind of break everything? We're just going to have to kind of find out where that leads us there. That's it for this week's show. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that YouTube subscribe. We're on iTunes, Spotify. Stay informed and keep your passion burning. Until next week, we'll see you next time.